On a small island in the middle of the ocean, there was a quiet village called Bright Shore. The people there lived simple lives. They fished, grew fruits, and told stories around the fire every evening. Life was peaceful until one strange night. Emma, a 14-year-old girl, loved exploring the island. She was curious and loved looking for shiny shells and colorful stones near the beach. One day, Emma found an old map under a big tree. The map was very old and had strange symbols on it. At the bottom, it said, "The treasure of Bright Shore, find it if you dare." Emma's heart raced with excitement. She showed the map to her best friend, Tom. Tom was 15, taller than Emma, and always ready for an adventure. "This is amazing," he said. "We have to find this treasure." Emma nodded, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. The next morning, they packed their bags. Emma took a flashlight, some snacks, and a bottle of water. Tom brought a small notebook and a compass. They started walking towards the first clue on the map, which led them to the old lighthouse. The lighthouse was very tall and hadn't been used for years. Its paint was peeling, and the windows were broken. Inside, it was dark and cold. Emma turned on her flashlight. They climbed the spiral stairs until they reached the top. On the wall, there was a strange symbol that looked like a key. "This is it," Tom said. He took out his notebook and drew the symbol. The map's second clue led them to the forest. The trees there were tall and old, and the sunlight barely touched the ground. Emma and Tom followed the map carefully, stepping over roots and rocks. Suddenly, they heard a strange sound. It was like a whisper, but no one was there. "Did you hear that?" Emma asked. Tom nodded, his face pale. After a few minutes, they reached a small cave. The entrance was hidden by bushes. They looked at each other. "Are you sure about this?" Emma asked. "We've come this far," Tom replied. Together, they stepped inside. The cave was dark, but the walls glowed with strange, green light. There were drawings of people, animals, and symbols. In the center of the cave, they saw something that made them freeze. It was a chest, old and covered in dust. They opened it slowly, their hands shaking. Inside, there was a small mirror. The frame was golden, and it shone like the sun. Tom picked it up. "What is this?" he asked. Suddenly, the cave started shaking. Rocks fell, and the green light became brighter. Emma and Tom ran out as fast as they could. When they were outside, the whispering sound grew louder. The map in Emma's bag burned to ash, and the mirror glowed for a moment before turning dark. "What just happened?" Emma whispered. Tom didn't answer. He just stared at the mirror, his eyes full of fear. Something strange was happening, and they didn't know what it was. Emma and Tom stood outside the cave, breathing heavily. The strange whispers had stopped, but the silence felt even worse. Tom held the mirror tightly. "We need to go back to the village," he said. "Maybe someone knows what this is." They walked back through the forest, following the path they had come from. The sun was setting, and shadows stretched across the ground. Emma kept looking behind her. She felt like someone, or something, was watching them. When they reached the village, everything seemed normal. People were talking, laughing, and cooking dinner. Emma and Tom went straight to Mrs. Carter's house. She was the oldest person in the village and knew many stories about Bright Shore. Mrs. Carter opened the door. Her face was kind but serious. "What brings you here, children?" she asked. Tom showed her the mirror. The moment she saw it, her expression changed. Her eyes widened, and she stepped back. "Where did you find this?" she asked in a shaky voice. "In a cave," Emma said. "It was with an old map." Mrs. Carter sat down slowly. "This mirror is cursed," she whispered. It belonged to a sailor who came to Brightshore many years ago. He was searching for a treasure. But when he found this mirror, strange things began to happen. The sailor disappeared, and so did everyone who touched the mirror after him. Emma felt a chill run down her spine. "What do we do now?" she asked. "You must return it," Mrs. Carter said. "Take it back to the cave and leave it there. The mirror does not belong in this world." Tom didn't look convinced. "What if we don't?" he asked. Mrs. Carter's voice became firm. "If you keep it, bad things will happen. The mirror's power will grow stronger. It will bring danger to the village, and to you." Emma and Tom exchanged a nervous glance. They decided to return the mirror the next morning. But that night, strange things began to happen. Emma woke up to the sound of tapping on her window. She looked outside but saw nothing. Her room felt colder than usual, and the shadows seemed to move. She tried to sleep, but the whispers from the cave echoed in her mind. Tom had a similar experience. He dreamed of the green light and the sailor's face, pale and angry. When he woke up, the mirror was glowing faintly on his desk. He picked it up, and for a moment, he thought he saw his reflection smile, but it wasn't his smile. The next morning, they met at the edge of the forest. "Did anything strange happen to you?" Emma asked. Tom nodded, holding the mirror tightly. They hurried back to the cave, their hearts pounding. This time, the forest felt darker, and the whispers started earlier. When they reached the cave, the green light was already glowing inside. Emma and Tom stepped into the cave, and the whispers grew louder. They placed the mirror on the chest where they had found it. The ground shook again, and the light became blinding. "Run!" Tom shouted. They ran out of the cave, and when they turned back, the entrance was gone. It was as if the cave had never been there. The whispers stopped, and the forest felt peaceful again. Emma and Tom stood there, staring at the empty space. "Do you think it's over?" Emma asked. "I hope so," Tom replied, though he wasn't sure. They never spoke of the mirror again, but they both knew they would never forget that day. Sometimes, late at night, Emma still heard faint whispers in her dreams. And sometimes, Tom thought he saw a green light in the distance. Brightshore returned to normal, but the mystery of the mirror remained. Perhaps it was better that way. Some secrets, they realized, were meant to stay hidden.